All right, let's fix your plantar fasciitis once and for all. First, you're going to need a bucket or some sort of receptacle that's going to be deep enough to cover your foot and long enough for your foot to stretch out than they're flat. We're going to fill it with ice. My ice machine does not put out a ton of ice, and I found out very quickly that it was not going to be enough, so I went into my garage fridge and got a bag of ice. You don't want just a few cubes along the bottom. You want several layers deep of ice that you're then going to cover with cold water. Don't put hot water on it. You'll melt your ice too quickly. You wanted a nice slushy in there to cover the whole foot. I recommend throwing a towel down, getting both feet out of socks and shoes and pant legs rolled up, and then in you go. And I'm doing this in real time so that you can actually see that it's about 20 to 30 seconds each side. You're really just going to the point where you can tolerate it. You're not trying to freeze yourself. You're not trying to give yourself frostbite. So you got to really listen to the foot. I like to move it around in there a little bit. Keep the ice washing over all parts of the foot, not building up a little pocket of warmth around the foot by letting it sit there still. But ultimately, your nerves in your feet are going to tell you, you got to get the heck out of there in about 20 to 30 seconds. So again, whether I speed the video up or not, I'm just trying to show you exactly what I did and how many times I repeated. So far, it's been 1 round per foot. And yeah, your foot's going to come out of there feeling stiff and wooden and very cold. And you're going to want to move it around and tap it and just keep life in it, of course. Nothing wrong with grabbing it with your hands and massaging it. But ultimately, we're just trying to drive out inflammation by cold exposure. And specifically in the area of your plantar fascia where you have all this inflammation and tightness. And going back and forth several times. And you'll see that it becomes necessary, or it feels good to move your feet after several rounds of this. And so now I've got some pretty numb tootsies, and I'm trying to just bring life back in, calf raise, flex the feet, move the toes around, wiggle the toes. I'm trying to play piano with my feet, or at least roll my toes down. The more life you can bring into your feet in general, the healthier you will be as an organism. Being able to lift the big toe, that's a skill. Being able to lay down the outer toes one at a time is also a skill that we lose. I'm not that great at it, but always room to improve. So next, we're going for the hot water. And in my house, we've got the hot water set pretty high. I believe it's at about 140 or 145 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason being that we save water by doing it that way. We don't have to use as much hot water. So we got 139 Fahrenheit, still a tad too hot. You're going to find it gets nice around 130 degrees, but I still would like you to experience this. If you have a thermometer and you're under 140 degrees, at least put your heel in. That usually tends to be the most sensitive area, and the heat is going to now flush blood flow to the area, as well as, because it's high heat, it's going to sting a little bit, and it's going to desensitize the nerves there, which we're also, that's an ancillary benefit of using the hot and the cold, is that we just simply overstimulate the nerve endings. Again, not trying to cause damage, trying to listen to the foot. If it's too hot or too cold, we're getting the heck out of there. But this is just touching, getting it in. And now I'm starting to really get into it. And I believe here we've got 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Starts to get good. You know, once you get sub 130, you should be able to tolerate it, maybe even get the whole foot in. But again, tapping, getting that heel, just touching that heel in can feel really good if you've got plantar fasciitis. And you'll know it because it'll feel good. You'll feel like you're really stinging what needs to be stung and kind of turning it off. And I just alternate, getting in a little deeper now. You'll find that the toes are the most sensitive part. And now we're getting into just the alternate stepping. And it looks like I'm able to keep it in there a couple seconds. It's not like I'm able to just stuff my foot underwater and leave it there. And I got a good dose. Going back for more. Again, showing you this in real time so that you can actually see what it's like to perform a full treatment on your feet. And we started off with the cold. We move to the hot. We start playing around with flexing and extending, checking changes as we go. Looks like I'm getting one more dose. And we've gone back and forth. And, you'll pause this video. You'll restart this video at each step. So to do this at home, maybe once you get in the groove of doing this, to do the full treatment will take upwards of 15 or 20 minutes. But the reality is, once you have all the pieces in place, you can go through it quicker, and you can do any one of these segments as a standalone treatment. You could do the ice by itself. You could do the heat by itself. Now I've got a lacrosse ball. I'm rolling out my feet, front to back, side to side, hitting every angle that I possibly can, trying to grip it as if I was going to pick it up with my toes. Again, if you've got really good movement and articulation with your toes and with your feet, you should be able to pick it up. And because we wear such thick-soled, stiff-soled, compressive shoes that don't let our feet splay out, we tend to deaden our feet over time, and that's where the plantar fascia gets aggravated, tighter, and eventually starts complaining to the point where we, can't walk or hurts to get out of bed in the morning. I'm grinding back and forth over the heel, and I'm actually surprised at how little this is bothering me. If I go back to the days when I had plantar fasciitis, I can remember this used to just be miserable. But after doing the ice and the heat, it definitely makes this a lot more accessible, and it gives you more bang for your buck from a time investment perspective, because just doing any one part by itself is less than ideal. But again, if you're pressed for time, or you feel like one phase feels better than the other, then feel free to jump to that phase. So great. Throw your shoes, socks and shoes in that order, back on, and then find a wall. And we're going to do TA raises, tibialis anterior raises. And 20 of these is good. You should feel the shins start to fatigue. You should also notice that it gets harder and harder to make the movement. You're kind of wear out the front of the foot doing that movement, front of the shin rather. And then we're going to a big calf stretch. Try to get your foot completely flat against the wall and trap the heel against the floor, and then move your hip towards the wall to get a massive stretch in the calf, Achilles tendon, which wraps around the heel right into the plantar fascia. So this is providing slack to your plantar fascia. After all the other stuff we've done, this is the really key component in restoring the length of your Achilles tendon and plantar fascia. You can do upwards of 2 minutes on each of these. So I know that was a long hold, but 2 minutes. Now, this is to be done usually on a staircase. If you've got shoes on, doesn't matter if it's carpeted or not, but carpeted, if you're in bare feet, carpeted would be probably a little bit more ideal, just because that edge of the stair is going to be uncomfortable. But regardless, now we're doing calf raises. I've got my hands on the rack to help me get into what I would call triple extension, where I'm extending my ankles, knees, and hips. So not only am I extending my feet, I am straightening my knee and driving my hip forward. And so I was doing that with both feet. Now I go to a single foot, single leg calf raise. And in addition to holding on being something that stabilizes you, you also could use the railing or the upright support to help offload the weight, pulling yourself up. In other words, if your calf isn't strong enough to get you into this position, give yourself a little support and a little assistance to get into the full extension. So full triple extension. And I'm even bringing my knee up. I'm making it a little more fancy here, but in a little bit more specific by bringing that knee up, because I'm thinking about extending the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Notice that straight line from the heel all the way to my hip. And I'm driving my hip forward as I extend there. It's going to really make your calf feel like it's working very hard. That's the complete treatment. Try it out. Let me know how it goes.